Poke Nation is back. Heath Schroyer is back and returning from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You enjoy your time back in your old stomping grounds?
It was great. I mean, obviously, I went with our men's team and, wanted to watch them on the road. And it was a great opportunity for me because I coached at Tennessee Martin. And so we went back there, was able to see some old boosters and friends and some administrators. And it was great. I mean, it was a great homecoming. Those people in West Tennessee were really special to me, and it was great to go back and reconnect with them.
Is there a part of town where you worked that you didn't like?
No,
Is there a place
really.
you didn't like?
Here's what I've learned, Jim, honestly, is everywhere you go in the country, there are good people. Now, there's a lot of people, obviously there's people that you don't want to associate with in every community, but there's great people everywhere I've been, and I've been very blessed along my coaching and administrative career to be around really good people, and I value relationships. It's something that I've always valued in my life, and to go back and have lunch with people and have a beer after the game with a group of people, it was really nice.
I don't want to ask you this because you have a pulse of the league. Mm-hmm. More so than most ADs even.
Sure.
4 openings
Yeah.
in football, essentially.
Maybe soon to be 5.
Well, it'll be 4, though, because one will
Right.
be.
Right.
And we'll get into that in a second. Gary Goff is now the 4th longest tenured head football coach of the Southland Conference after 1 year. Are you surprised by those 4? We talked a little bit about it, but I really want to get into the Lamar situation. Lamar is considering or is in the process of making an offer to the Southeast Louisiana coach. Mm-hmm. That tells me 2 things. 1, Texas has more money, obviously.
A lot more.
And 2, that in this league, there is now competition like I haven't seen before.
I think that, how do I say this? I think that the importance of football, the importance of athletics in general, it's evident now, right? I mean, like they're not, years ago, hey, you just kind of limp along and you're just okay. Now, it's not that way. I mean, you have to win. You have to win games. The pressure to win from a football coach, a basketball coach, an athletic director, especially in those 2 sports, it's real. And you're seeing it now that people aren't going to put up with 3-4 years of very subpar play. And I'm not surprised. I think that, when everyone is looking at how do we increase enrollment, right? How do we increase student engagement? The greatest way to do that is through successful football and men's basketball. And if you're not successful in those 2 over a couple-year period of time, tough decisions sometimes have to be made.
But do you find it interesting that, I mean, you want to create a rivalry, you go steal somebody's coach?
Oh, 100%. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the new AD at Lamar, I can't wait. If this all happens with the Southeastern coach, with Frank, I mean, I can't wait for the league meetings. They're going to be even more interesting. But the great thing is maybe I won't be the most hated guy in the room anymore.
No, well, you are at Southeastern right now.
For sure.
You probably won't be if this goes through.
Oh yeah. That's
but
not a
I
bad
think the interesting thing to me about this is how does this play out long term when it comes to money in Louisiana? Do they understand that? Are they going to make a bid to try to keep him? I heard they were going to make a bid to try to keep him. If they do that, now you're starting to. That's how you upgrade everybody's money.
100%, absolutely. I mean, look. I mean, there's no question that Texas has more money than Louisiana. It's one of the biggest reasons why the Texas schools a couple years ago left the Southland.
Yeah.
Was the thought process is that Louisiana was so far behind from a financial standpoint and a commitment standpoint that we needed to leave. Well, I think some of that's changed a little bit, but I do think.
Well, you guys have changed it.
100. Yes, I think we did. I think we led the way of that. But I also think too, Jim, that look. It's like I've said, in the 2-3 years now that I've been going as an AD. You either want to do it or you don't. Like, and if you want to be relevant, you have to spend money. And you just can't go and sell chili dogs outside the car and think you're gonna it has to be real. It has to be intentional.
Not outside the car.
No, I mean seriously, like you just can't do the same things you did 20, 30 years ago and expect us to continue to grow as a department and as a university. It just doesn't work.
Well, this show is taping on a Monday. I hope everybody understands that. By Wednesday, I would imagine a decision will be made on Frank
Probably,
and
yeah.
Lamar, one way or the other. I want to see how this plays out long term, because this really, to me, does set up not only rivalries, but an interesting kind of run, because we've heard Houston Christian now has fired their or essentially fired their coach. They want to invest deeply in newer stadiums. Incarnate Word has found out that they can win all the games they want. They can't fill stands in playoffs, but they can't keep their coach either.
100%.
And even David up in Commerce having a good year can't keep Ja. I mean, this is now playing out. We're seeing what is nationally playing out in the Southland for the first time.
For sure, and that's what my point. What's going on at the high level in the Power Five? It's just trickled down, right? And then now it's at the FCS level. I mean, the pressure to win is real. The investment you have to make is real, and when you invest, becomes pressure, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
what it is. I mean, you know, you. But as a coach, that's what you want, right? You want to have the tools to do it. That's why you coach. And as an administrator, it's the same thing. But it's an ultra competitive environment, and it's only going to get more competitive.
Talk about competitive. We'll talk to Divine Tanks after this. Barbe High School graduate and McNeese forward is as competitive as she gets when she's on the floor after this.
Welcome back to Pope Nation. It is an honor to have Miss Divine Tanks. Welcome to Pope Nation.
Hi, thank you for having me.
This is exciting. Wow,
Yes.
awesome. Okay, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
How's the season going so far? Obviously, we kind of stumped our toe a couple
Yeah, a
times,
couple
but we played an
times.
unbelievably hard schedule.
Yes.
Talk about where the team's at.
I feel like right now we're at a place mentally where we've learned from the mistakes that we've made in this beginning of the preseason, and we are at a point where we're coming together as a team to consciously make an effort to change the mistakes that we had made previously before. Like you said, we did play a pretty hard schedule. We had probably maybe 4 really hard games in like 6
Oh, yeah,
to
it was
7 days.
brutal.
And then on top of that, we had people who were out with injuries and the other people who were out sick, stuff like that. So it was a tough away trip, but we learned some key stuff, and we're taking it to practice now and turning it around so we can get ready for conference play. So
You know, at the end of the day, like, and the one thing that I always, when I hired Coach Kennedy, his teams historically have always gotten better as the year goes on. And I really thought last year we played our best basketball in February.
yes.
And that's a sign of
yeah.
a really good coach, right, in my opinion. But, you know, you can see a lot of things that are starting to establish. What are the, like, you talked about things that you're working on from the preseason. What are some of those things?
Trusting each other more, especially on the court. I feel like we didn't really work out during the summer. We didn't have a summer workout because we had a lot of people coming in from overseas and stuff like that. So building that team chemistry, building that trust, knowing where my teammate's going to be before she even gets there, like, you know, knowing how each player plays and how to play to their strengths and stuff like that. Also, just learning to trust the program, trusting that Coach Kennedy has the plays designed for us, and if we run them all the way through, we're going to end up with a bucket at the end, just stuff like that. Really, I feel like when it comes down to the basketball point, like basketball IQ, I feel like we really got that, but we just got to put it all together and make it work.
And you have a lot of new players.
Yes, a lot of new
You know,
players,
so when
yes.
you want to gel, it takes some time to gel. And at the end of the day, I always say this: what matters is January, February, and March.
Yes, yes, definitely. Conference play is definitely what matters. And then that's what I'm saying. I feel like as the season continues, you can see we're taking strides in the right direction to get where we want to be when conference starts. So
One of the things that I find interesting about your team is the international.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of people have to gel culturally when it comes from different parts of the country. A lot of basketball teams. You literally have to go through entire different languages, different cultures.
Yes.
But also last year, a lot of the girls for the first time had Thanksgiving. They had never experienced Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
What's it like to have a culture like that and build?
I feel like it's really interesting, honestly, because like especially me being from Lake Charles, I don't really get to see too much of like different cultures and stuff like that. So bringing like in all these different girls, it just broadens my horizon of like just life in general. They bring in a lot of different things. Like they'll make meals for us, like from where they're from and stuff like that, and teach us like different traditions and stuff like that. So and then we teach them stuff that we do out here. So it helps us gel more, like just getting to know where they're from and them knowing where we're from and stuff like that. So.
What about the basketball? Because there's different brands of basketball played throughout the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you see that when it's international players? Do you see the differences?
Sometimes. I remember when one of the international girls last year first got here, she didn't know where to stand, like, in the box for the free throw line. Like, she was kind of like, oh, what, do I stand here? Do I stand here? And we were looking like, you don't know that? And she was like, oh, well, back home, we don't do it the same way we do it here. So stuff like that, yeah, it's sometimes a little different. It's, like, off sometimes.
Do you like that, though?
Yeah, it's interesting. It, like, keeps me on my toes, kind of. So.
What's it like to have them and do you have to kind of go over and show them what Americans do and kind of teach them the American way?
Sometimes. Majority of the freshmen, it's kind of like their first time being out here, but the ones who have been here for a while, they kind of already got like adapted to the way life is in America and stuff like that. But sometimes here and there, and then sometimes it's like with the language barrier, they don't understand sometimes what we're saying, so we'll have to like overly explain sometimes, but
I don't
eventually
understand what
they
you're
get it.
saying half the time anyway.
Vice versa. But don't you think, I've always said that, when you bring a bunch of people from different backgrounds into the locker room, I've always said the locker room is sacred.
Yeah.
Right? Because you do, all of the biases, all those things go away because you're all focused on one goal, and that's to win,
Yes.
and to win a championship. So when you're out here, what is the key? If you really think about it, I know we talked about chemistry, but we finished fourth last year in the conference. We got a bye going into the conference tournament. What is the key this year for us to take it to another step farther in the rebuild process?
Like I said, chemistry at first, and just I feel like the trusting each other is really what we need. Like honestly, I feel like now we're getting to that point where we're going hard for one another. Like we're playing for the person next to us, and I feel like that's the key factor that we need to have. Go out there and play hard because I know I'm playing for my teammate on side of me, and just going and giving it all when we get out there every single time. So.
What's obviously the big thing last week and that trip was the flu.
Yes.
You didn't really have a lot of time to practice. You didn't have a lot of time. What's it like now this week, and what are you going to do in the next week and a half before there's the next game to kind of get over that?
I feel like a lot of people kind of have got over the flu. We don't really have too many people that's sick anymore, but I feel like now that everyone's kind of back, we're working on breaking down stuff, key little things that we were missing up in the game when people were sick. We're coming back and we're breaking that down, making sure we hit every point.
When Divine joins us after the break, we're going to talk about the Southland Conference race and also what she's learned in the last year and a half under Coach Kennedy after this. We're back with Divine Tanks from Barbe High School, McNeese State forward. Now, you are a forward, correct?
Yes, I am.
But you guys don't really play center forwards, do you? Everybody has like 4 guards and 1 forward nowadays.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we kind of play kind of like a 3-guard, 2 posts sometimes. It just depends on what play we're running. Like if we're running a certain play, we'll do like a 4 out, 1 in. But then other times we'll do like 2 forwards and then like 3 guards. It just depends on what we're running.
the difference in your game under Coach Kennedy to me is you're much more aggressive. What changed kind of when he came in? Because I saw the team take that kind of aggressive stand more so than before. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I kind of noticed it when we started playing games my last year when he first got here. I really don't know what was the difference. Probably maybe just because, like I said before, he gave everybody the green light and let everybody know that they have the opportunity to score. If you're open, take the shot. So I just felt like if I was open, I would just take it. So that's why I feel like the aggression kind of came in.
You know, it's funny because, you know, when we hired Coach Kennedy, it's one of the things he talked about. I said, what is one of your biggest strengths? And he said, I give my players confidence.
Yeah.
Like they, you know, and the neat thing about him, I've never seen him raise his voice.
Yeah, he rarely yells. Yeah.
Like never curses,
Yeah.
never. And I've told him, I've kind of teased him before. I go, I have no idea how you do that because I coached for 26 years. So there's
Yes.
no
No, there's no way
I can do that. But talk about that. Like, I mean, obviously he gets his point across. He's, I mean, won a ton of games in his
Yes.
career. Why is that approach so successful?
I feel like because during practice, he just instills the confidence in us then. Like when we run, plays against each other, or we run like fast break, learning stuff like that, he will tell us from the jump, like, if you have the open shot, shoot it. And even though, like, sometimes you think, okay, this probably won't be the best shot, he doesn't really get on you too much about taking bad shots. He'll say, like, if it's not really, like, in the system, he'll be like, okay, that shot probably wasn't the best, but I'm not mad at you for shooting it. Maybe just rotate it a couple more times and then get the shot open. He never shoots you down for taking bad shots and stuff like that. So,
Being from Barbe High School, now you see the tournament coming here this year, which is exciting for the town. What does it mean, kind of see the growth of women's basketball for you? Because you're from here, you've kind of seen it.
I feel like it's grown a lot, honestly, and just growing up in it, while coming and watching McNeese games when I was younger, and watching them when I was in the recruiting process of coming to McNeese, I feel like this is a big step for women's basketball in the area. And currently, the coach of Barb, Coach Trey, I talk to him often, and I talk to the girls often, and they're just excited to see like what we're doing and what we're continuing to do. And they come to practice sometimes, and they've been to the open practice that we had a while back ago, and they come to a lot of the games. So it's really nice to like be there for the community and for the women's basketball in the community. So.
What did you learn last year in the Southland Conference? What have you learned in the Southland Conference? Very physical conference, even
Yes,
for women's basketball.
definitely.
Does that surprise some of the international players at first?
At first, yes. Sometimes, like, I don't think they're used to as much physicality as we have here. We kind of seen that when we had our first scrimmage against Grambling State, which is a very physical and aggressive team, and they realized that they're gonna have to match that physicality in order to play on this level. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like they're the type of people where if they get physical with them, they can get physical back. But it was kind of an eye opener when they first got here.
So, okay, talk about this. And obviously, you've been here a few years. Talk about your major. What's your plan after McNeese?
I plan on doing elementary education, so I will graduate December 9th, and then I will do my alt-cert program to where I will get certified for teaching, and then I will want to start teaching here in Cowgirl Parish, and then after that, maybe move closer to my family in Texas or somewhere like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. So
Yes.
what grade do you want to teach?
I really want to do kindergarten, but I'm open to any
Really?
elementary grades. Yes, I love little kids. Little kids is like where my heart is.
So, my sister is an educator. My uncle was a teacher. What is it, so when did you know you wanted to be a teacher?
Well, when I first thought about my major, I knew I wanted to do something with kids. So I was wanting to be a pediatrician at first. And then I realized that it was a lot of school and a lot of stuff I had to know, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. So then I started working at the daycare program at my church with younger kids, and I was like, I think teaching is what I want to do. I think this is where I want to do it. And then my mom, she's also a teacher. She works at Oak Park Elementary, and she's a physical education teacher. And I watched her, and I was like, I think teaching is where I want to go. So
That's awesome. What a great profession.
Yeah.
Thought about coaching basketball?
I've thought about it, but I don't know for sure because I'm doing elementary, so I don't know if I'll be able to coach. But I'm open to being assistant coach or something under other coaches, at a higher level. So
I promise you this, in Cowgirl Parish, if you want to coach women's basketball or girls basketball, somebody will hire you. And I'm
Yes.
telling you right now, all you coaches out there, if you need a really good assistant, don't look past this one.
thank you.
Is that an early recruiting process?
100%. I'm telling you,
with it?
she's phenomenal. And
Thank you so much.
And I will tell you this, Divine, too, and I mean this sincerely, is, you're obviously you got a lot of basketball left in your last year, but I want to thank you from an athletic director standpoint of how you have carried yourself on the court, off the court, how you've represented this institution,
Thank you so much.
you've done it with nothing but a great level of professionalism,
Thank you.
and I appreciate you, and we're really going to miss you. And let's go win a championship, okay?
Yes, sir.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
We'll get Coach's final thoughts after this on Poke Nation. We're back. Interesting player.
She's a great kid.
From here, has a lot of ties to here.
Yep.
Probably the face of the program because of that.
I think so. But the great thing is at the end of that last segment, you get into, them as people.
Yeah.
And, here's a young lady that is, from here, came here, got her degree, and she's going to go into the classroom. She's going to be an unbelievable teacher. And you have an ambassador for McNeese.
Yeah.
But just think about the impact that a kid like that is going to have on so many kids in this community. And that's the beauty about college athletics that people really don't
Well,
understand.
that's what we
it's
don't
awesome.
see. We hear about the guy who's going to go into the pros. We hear
Sure.
make the millions. These are the actual stories of college basketball,
100%.
college sports.
Exactly right.
And these are the stories that need to be told more because they are the common person.
They are.
The average person is not going to go make the millions.
No, for sure. And you think about, again, what kind of impact is Divine going to make on
Long term on
long term on this
and if she
community?
goes into basketball in the area.
For sure. It's great. She's a great kid. She's not a kid. She's a great young lady. I've talked to her parents a couple times. They're phenomenal people. They come to all the games, and she's a great ambassador for this university and our women's basketball
Well,
program.
I really hope that you can get the parents from down the block. If you can't get them in the building, you've got real issues. But
Well, I tell you, it's they're phenomenal people. But I've been places where and had local kids, and that wasn't always the case.
that actually was a problem here. We had
sure.
3 local kids on the men's side a while ago, and they didn't. Their parents came occasionally, but they didn't draw. There was no extra draw. So,
Right.
all right, we've talked a little bit about the football. We've talked about the Southland Conference. I got to get an update on the Southland Conference, like I always do. Football is now over with for the most part for everybody. These kids don't seem to be flowing into the portal yet, so that's a good sign. But when you see some of the others in the league, Northwestern State losing their quarterback, Commerce losing their wide receiver, everybody's leaving Incarnate Word. Most people are leaving Southeastern for graduation. Is there a quick flip? Do you think this can be flipped quick?
I do. I think that I always said when Coach Golf got here, there was going to be a 2-3 year process before you really saw it. But I think with so much turnover within the league, I think that the circumstances can line up where we can make a bigger jump year 2 than I've really probably anticipated. Now, when you talk to Coach, like he wants to win a championship, he wanted to win one last year. I mean, it's
He's still trying to figure out how they didn't win one
right.
last year. Yes,
But I'll tell you this, I met with him after the season. And I just love him because he knows what he is. He knows what he needs to have. He's organized. He's intentional, and he does that on the field, and he's doing that in recruiting.
Yeah.
I think this past weekend was the first recruiting weekend he's had. I spoke to all the players. He had me in for a breakfast, and just the size of the kids, the positions, and he is very, very intentional. He's very detailed, and I couldn't be more excited about where this football program's headed.
No, and I see, and it's an interesting thing because on social media, nobody can sign yet, but we see kids committing on social media. Now, some of them will flip and all that.
Sure.
But it does seem, as we see what's being committed, where he's going with players and what he's getting, because he's getting a lot of kids from Texas, a lot of kids from bigger programs with success, and it seems like a lot of kids from specialized positions.
For sure, 100%. I mean, like I said, he's very intentional with what he wants to do. We're hitting the high school and junior colleges really heavy, which I love. We're going to take kids out of the portal like everybody else. But the thing that I'm he told me this. We meet once a week and usually have breakfast or coffee somewhere. And
I don't get invited.
But I think he made a great point. He said, everyone's going to the portal, right?
Yeah.
So now the junior college and high school kids are the afterthought, and so he really believes that to build his program through the junior college and high school ranks, and then fill it in with the portal, where I think a lot of people are trying to fill them in with the portal, go with the portal and fill them in here. He's taken a different approach, and I think that long term, especially with the culture he has and the way he does things, having kids in the program for multiple years. It's going to be such an advantage because of the way he does things.
Yeah, and I think looking back on last year, we saw that the portal can hold you hostage.
For sure, 100%.
And you can count on it, and maybe it's not the right way to go. We saw that at quarterback last year. We see that at other positions too. I'm interested to see as coaches go, what they develop in the portal, and maybe we get one player a year or 2 players a year specific. But I think that they're still trying to figure out the portal.
I think everyone is, and obviously, College athletics has changed so much, Jim. Just in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
couple years, it is continuing to evolve. But the one thing that I tell our coaches all the time is that you either adapt or you die, right? It's the
Yep.
key to life. Nothing is ever going to stay the same. We don't communicate the same. So I encourage my coaches to continue to adapt and grow, and I'm really proud that they're doing it.
There you go. We'll see you next week on Poke Nation. Stay with us.